recorded April 6th. Recorded April 15th, 2024. I can't find my ass with both hands. How you guys doing? How you doing, Rod? How you doing, Brody?
So that means I have to go first. Dang. Okay. I'm doing good, doing well. Just got back from KC yesterday. Drove out there, road trip, spent some time with friends, but went to the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium and watched Messi play the two soccer matches. And actually, it's one thing to go actually see somebody play. It's another thing to actually see them score. So he actually scored one of the goals. Unfortunately, the home team lost, but of course, Messi won. Right.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. Hey, a couple things before we move on. Number one, today, other than being tax day, this is also my 5-year anniversary at Microsoft. This is the day, my anniversary, my birthday. Also, today we released the ninja training for Copilot for security, and I passed like 5 minutes ago, just before the show started. So got my certificate. It's all good. It's all cool.
There's a ninja training for Copilot.
I'll put the links in the show notes, and I'll put them in the chat here shortly so people can get to it. Also, last week we released our GitHub repo for Copilot for security, but today we released the blog post, so now it's super official. But I want to introduce a special guest tonight before we move on, because I think they have something of interest to talk about. I want to welcome back to the show.
Hey,
Frank Grimberg.
Hey,
I'm going to catch her again.
Checking in to see how Edward did today.
I did what? What was I doing?
What'd you do today?
Taking a test today. I've been bothering you and harassing you for a few months, so
you have.
I'm waiting to hear the results.
All right. Well, the results are going to be disappointing. I did not pass.
Oh, really?
Sorry, buddy.
Did not.
Sorry. That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. My wife was more upset than I was, and I came out. She said, "You passed." I said, "No." And I just walked around. She said, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." You don't see him? I said, "No."
What part? You can't talk too much about it, but what part was it? What I found is time management is the thing that got me, because you think you're doing well and then you get killed on something and you end up realizing, hey, I'm doing really well. And then you get down the last half an hour, you're like, oh man, I still got a long way to go.
It was 100% that, Frank. Let me put it this way. I made a rookie mistake. So I go in for time management, and the questions I didn't know right away, I just skip. I'll come back to them later.
Right.
So one of the things I focus on that you told me that a lot of people have difficulty with are the actual labs. When you took it, they didn't have labs.
I didn't have labs.
We have labs, and they account for a significant, I suspect, of your score. So for those who know, we've been talking about me taking the SANS forensics test. I took it today. Went there with a huge amount of confidence, and the thing that I focus on is the thing that people saying was so difficult. Hey man, you got to know all the keystrokes. You got to know this. You can't fake your way through this, because there's no A, B, C, D answer. You get a whole sheet, and it's like, out of these 12 things, which one is it? And they're off, right? So I did that, and I'm like, okay. And then I look down, and it says you have 5 minutes to go. I'm like, all right, finish my last. I skipped 15 questions.
Yeah.
So in those, you don't get to choose the question, the answer, and skip and come back. When you skip, you skip.
Oh, really?
So I'm rushing through, like, God damn it. And plus, let me put it this way: the test is fair. It is a very fair exam. It is more about the approach of it and everything else. The only gripe that I have about it, and can't say too much, is it is very subjective. When tests ask me what I think, I don't like that. Ask me what I know. Right? Ask me what I know. And it was and all the hard things I thought would have been how to do memory analysis and look at PIDs and look at hollowed out processes and DLLs. I was like, oh, I got that. Then it goes, you're in a triage. What would you do as so-and-so when you were thinking? I'm like, no, that's not real. The real thing would be get on Teams. Hey, Frank, I'm seeing this, man. What do you think? Right? So I got a little gripe. I wrote a nice feedback. Like, you should be testing me on the knowledge of the concepts, not how I would approach something. Well, what my approach? Because at this day and time, I got a team of people. I don't have to sit here and operate. You don't send one person out for forensics. You send everybody out for forensics, right? But I will say this: I learned a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
so one of the things I think about certifications is the exams are just the cherry on top, where taking the time and learning the content and the material is actually the most important thing. You can take the exam again, and
Yeah.
now you know what the deal is and how to do the time management
Mhm.
and some things and how it might be different than the practice tests that were out there and so on. So
Practice.
let's talk about the most important part, which is learning. Like a lot of the Microsoft exams, take your time and learn the material. Then go take the
Mm.
exam. Get to know the content. So tell us
Yeah.
more about what you learned and was the learning worth it for you?
Huge amounts of learning and understanding the context around the different attacks. You think you know what skeleton key, pass the hash, overpass the hash. Learn a lot about the adversarial kits out there from Cobalt Strike to some of the others. Learn a lot about how memory works, where nothing is really going until it's gone. It's there. You just got to know how to get it, right? I learned a lot um, on how in ineffectual and how unprepared organizations are when it comes to being ready for an incident. You and I talked about this, right? And it talks about it. So the very technical hard things like being able to go through and understand, like when I do a control alt delete now and bring up task manager, it means something totally different to me now than it did when I started this. I can read, I can look at I can look at a process and tell if it's out of place. Even if I just look down at the system, there's about a 50, 60% chance I can look at it and go, that's not supposed to do that, right? So I learned that what I felt I didn't get well was the approach. You know, uh, they were asking stuff in the MITRE attack framework. What do you think? I don't know, man. Let me get the book. Is this it? And some of those, but the hard stuff I focused on. Had I not paid attention and realized I'd had, and at 20 minutes, I would have been able to go back because some of them I knew I rushed through. But here's the funny thing about it. So my wife said, "Are you going to retake it?" I'm like, got a lot on my plate. Maybe I'll see. So I said, you know what? Now I can give it the the time and attention that it needs. And then the body wasn't even cold. The body being me, and I got an email. Don't give up. You can retake the test. $800. You $800?
It's a couple pizza parties.
Huh?
It's a couple pizza parties.
More than a couple pieces of part. I don't know.
One night at dinner now.
It is absolutely recommended for anybody who want to have a deep understanding of two things. If you're an incident responder and a forensic analyst, this will build a foundation for you. I'm gonna keep all my books. These books are golden. They're not gonna be
Yeah.
dated. Well, new
So when are
tech.
you going to take it again?
Oh man, I ain't got time, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
I
do you
may.
now, since you've taken the test, because I kind of felt like the pre-test they give you didn't really was not really reflective of the what you go through in dealing with the real test. I consider myself lucky for passing it, not anything else. So take it again now that you have this knowledge. So I always fail my OSCPs first, right, or my offensive security stuff first, right? Like the OSCP, I failed the first time. I should have failed the first time. The second time I failed, I was actually sick, so I should not have taken it.
I remember
So
that.
I kind of don't count that. But then the second time I passed, right, because I had more knowledge about the whole testing process and going through. So I think you should. I think you should
I,
take it. Now.
I wrote a comment. They should split this test into two pieces.
Right.
They
So,
shouldn't
so
have.
what I'm so what I'm saying is that when I took the second and third test for OCP, my knowledge did not change. Right? You know any knowledge gaps now. Now you can go back, fill in those little knowledge gaps, and you're fine. You should go ahead and take it. Now you understand the time
I,
management
I,
of that
I,
test and getting caught
the
at the
time
end.
manager eats you up. You don't was 3 hours, maybe 2.5, blew by. Because when
Hmm.
you sit down here and you're looking at processes and memory dumps, and you're going through stuff and you're trying to find an outlier, and if your eyes aren't trained for it, you go, okay, which one? And Luckily, this thing got your Linux skills up because grep is your friend. You get so much text. I mean, pages of text. You can't see anything. Everything's black and white. You got to, oh man, let me grep this real quick and let me try to do this down. I scored perfect on the timeline analysis, blew it out of the water because I know that. I'm like, I can see this.
Listen, I understand the amount of effort that you put into this. So you put significant effort into this.
We'll give you a gold star anyway. I'll send it to
You
you.
know, but I think the biggest thing, friend, you and I've been talking on and off in the background. I think first you was afraid I didn't see in the value. I didn't like the course. But when I got into the hard part, I liked the course. Oddly enough, I believe the questions I missed from the book one, and was just talking about stuff that I took for granted. Like, tell me about the MITRE ATT&CK framework. I don't know. Tell me about the kill chain. You read it and you just blow through it. But then they ask these very subjective questions about what would I do. I'm like, I don't know. In my head, let me tell you why I did not pass this exam. Too much experience, not enough knowledge. Because your brain is telling you to do something else based on what you've done in the past. Your brain's like, no, I'd do it different. You know, but that's me going in and trying to teach the test. If the test says 1 + 1 is 11, it's 11. It's 11. It's not 2. It's 11. I actually enjoyed the course. I would recommend it. I think that had I not just had a brain fart, and it doesn't tell you that you skip the questions. At the end, you think you're done, and all of a sudden, like, why is he bringing back to question 10? Shit. Oh, excuse me. You got to edit that out. So we'll go from there. But hey, I enjoyed the course. I'm glad you told me to do it. I'll make my mind up whether I want to retake it. You know, because, you know.
But does this change the way that you look at cybersecurity?
It changes the way I look at cybersecurity.
Does this bring you to another level in your?
Yes, absolutely. I can. If you say you're a forensics expert, we talk different. Remember I told you I talk to you different now? At first, when you and I met, you were talking, you were like, what are you talking about? It also is going to make me look at these so-called security partners different. When you're saying you're doing proactive hunting, when you're saying you're doing XDR, when you do these things, I can vet you now because I'm going to ask the hard questions. Are you doing these things? Then if you aren't, then you aren't hunting. What you're doing is just collecting logs and managing alerts.
I can tell you right now, I actually look at the companies, the partners that are actually putting people through SANS courses, more specifically GCFA. And if they're not putting their people through that, then I wouldn't even recommend the partner unless those people have significant experience. All right, I don't want to take up too much time.
We'll talk offline. We'll have a
well, we're going to have a certification episode. We've already promised to do that. So Frank, will you come back?
SC200 had a major restructuring to prepare for the XDR world and the unified SOC. So we can have the content manager for that come on and discuss that too.
How soon can we see Copilot for security stuff in the SC exams?
I can't talk about that.
How soon can we use Copilot for security for the SC exams?
I can't talk about any of that.
Yeah, we want to get in trouble, man.
Copilot
so one of the things is the restructure of the exam took place before Copilot was released. So you'll see the restructure is just talking about it from a training standpoint, but they're willing to push that in sooner than later if they can from there. So, all right.
I'll be in touch, Frank. I'll call you out of band and I'll give you a debrief.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Great seeing you guys again.
So that was interesting, Frank. And I saw all the comments in all the people commenting. Frank is back. So we definitely need to have that security, not this month, obviously. And I think we have 2 other episodes scheduled for next month for some things, but maybe, I don't know.
Sooner or later.
Month.
Yeah, sooner or later. Get back on. Because I think Noodle and a few others, Trevor, wanted to have a 2-part talk about certification, stuff, right?
Brody, is that helium? Is that what you're doing?
It's water. Actually, I've been drinking so much I gotta go to the bathroom. So let's introduce the guests so I can
the show is just going down the road.
Yeah.
So
I thought that bottle was your bathroom. Anyway.
Yep.
There you go.
Bigger than my head. All right.
So everyone, to all our listeners and watchers and followers and supporters, we continue the theme of Partner Month with a focus and emphasis on partners. They have forayed into the Microsoft uh, Copilot for security world. So this week, staying with the theme, we'd like to welcome on Chris Sim from Bulletproof. Brody, it's your guest. You should be doing all of this stuff.
It's not my guest at all, actually. He's our guest in general. Chris,
Yeah.
why don't you give us an introduction on who you are and what you do?
Oh, well, you guys are like, you know, the brains of the show. You guys should be telling the audience who we are. But no, for sure, like for those who haven't heard of Bulletproof, no, we are one of, you know, Microsoft's strategic partners, especially in the security space. But Bulletproof, we are a Canadian founded organization, primarily on the Atlantic East Coast, so New Brunswick, Halifax, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland. Kind of, you know, shout out to them. But we've grown from, you know, a small mighty shop to, you know, just sub 300 employees. We're worldwide. We have employees on almost every continent, and cybersecurity is in our DNA. So we are, you know, pretty excited, and as part of the private preview program with Copilot for Security, the team has been pretty much diving in head first, trying to make sure that all of the right components, features, capabilities, benefits, the customer expectations can all be understood and informed on how to make that right enablement to drive you know, benefits.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that.
And essentially, we're here to, you know, to grow, you know, and be a part of the Microsoft ecosystem. So glad to be on the show.
Thank you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're having trouble hearing you. The audio is cutting in and out, and it's whenever your head moves side to side.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Is it better now?
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Maybe, yeah. So maybe a little bit closer. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
You're all good. You're all good, bud.
So I had heard of Bulletproof, never really interacted with you guys. I knew you guys were pretty well-run Canadian company up there. You all over the website. So when I go to the website, I see all the conventions. So I assume that's you. I see on some of the events that you guys are having. So as we go with the theme, you know, security partners and Copilot, and you say that you guys are one of the early adopters, front runner, wave one. I'll ask the same question that I'll ask against all the other partners that have been here. How do you foresee, or how have you anticipated that two things? How's Copilot for Security going to make Bulletproof as an organization, a cybersecurity organization, more effective? And how do you foresee it making your customers better? Because they're not mutually inclusive, right? So, or your customer security posture is better. So I'll go with you. How is Bulletproof going to change the world with Copilot for Security with their current solutions?
Well, because of the feature that is so brand new, right now we are looking at positioning it as what the tool is intended to be, where the naming says it all. It's your co-partner, it's your assistant, it's your augmentation tool to be able to provide you the right amount of knowledge to be able to make better decisions faster. And it is not just for the security analysts or security professionals, but other administrators around the Intune or data security information management purview stack, as well as even your identity administrators from an Entra ID perspective, right? Just being able to align the right person or persona to the right area within your environment to improve the response and activity, whether it's from a configuration or whether it's from the learning aspects of security. It's being able to provide that knowledge back to the customers as well as our own security operations center, so we can be a better defender within our ecosystem.
Are you guys consuming Copilot yourself as an organization?
Yes. As of April 1st, as soon as it flipped over, and we still have our dev environment going, but we're using the production environment. We are, you know, working with some of our customers to get them onboarded as well. And you know, it's the early days of how much more can we uncover to be able to fine tune it, just as if we were to fine tune the monitoring aspect from within Sentinel, right? Making sure the right parsers are in place, making sure the KQL workbooks are providing the right visuals. We want to make sure that we are able to enable the tool to make sure we can get the right benefit for the customer size, customer environment, as well as the analysts who need to be able to use it, and so we can measure the right security compute units, or the SKU, which is has been a very interesting topic about how do we measure or cost the usage within Copilot for security.
So you asked the question, I asked it back. How are you managing the costs? Because the model is that the compute is being consumed in the customer's environment. It's not an overlay into yours. You're not running Copilot against their environment. You're interacting with Copilots in their environment. So it's cost management part of the professional service offering to get most bang for your buck. That's something you guys are considering.
At the moment, yeah, it's still under investigation at the moment. But in terms of the analyzing the current usage model to understand how the SCUs are being threshold, we can at least at the moment we're trying to automate the when should we increase the SCUs versus when should we decrease it to balance the costs for the customer, as well as making sure the analysts who are leveraging the tool is not going to drive the threshold to its limiter.
Now, Copilot for Security is you all are, as partners and part of that program, are just coming on, as most partners are right now. But can you give us a little bit of update about your company, what you do already, and how this is going to enhance potentially what you're doing already? Because I think you do some things already, I think, that we should kind of highlight. What does Bulletproof do other than think about Copilot for Security almost probably as much as I do? So
right. For sure. So I would say, like, the 25 years in business, we traditionally started as a like a traditional cybersecurity company doing pen testing, ethical hacking, kind of social engineering activities, and that's still in our DNA today. Where that particular division, blends a lot of that knowledge, and correlating enough with when Frank was on the show talking about how do security partners leverage certain SANS training or ethical hacking training. We have members who are certified across that particular area, and it's all about, for us, a lot lessons learned internally. But what's outside of that particular aspect, we have the kind of the traditional managed services for service desk. We have our managed security services with our security operations center, as well as we have our professional services group, which is, I'm overseeing our cloud division. We ensure we are able to provide that advisory, kind of that research and development, that enablement for all of the Microsoft workloads to be able to drive the right usage and activity for customers to increase their security and compliance postures.
It seems to be that you guys are an all-in Microsoft shop. You have your 365, which is your managed security, and then you have your Bulletproof 365, which seems to be your managed infrastructure. So, are you guys primarily a Microsoft technology consumer, or do you consult across other solutions also?
We are a 100% Microsoft shop when it comes to our security operations center, and we've been full heads in. It's like even from when the Azure data centers were first being populated in the early 2010s. Bulletproof was an early adopter to the migrating from on-prem into the Azure data center, as well as we were in a private preview when Sentinel was being announced for general availability back in 2019. We had a seat at the table, and we were speaking with the program managers and some of the engineering team to provide our feedback on what does our security analysts, and from our previous SIEM solution, how do we expect the monitoring and response capabilities to look like? And from there, we looked at what would be the best way to have more of a team environment, right? So we treat security as a team sport, right? We want to make sure that the customer is getting the right balance of response as well as the right balance of what logs are the most important for them to be ingested. And that's where our Bulletproof 365 enterprise service for our security operations center, we've also been partnering with other Microsoft ISVs to ensure that we're increasing our automation for efficiency, for cost, as well as for that mean time to response aspect. So lots of innovation on our side when it comes to our security operations center.
Well, here's a thing that interests me, I think, and intrigues me the most about the partners that are starting to consider, or at least potentially consider, integrating Copilot for security. Obviously, there's something there that you see that might enhance your existing operation. So what is it about Copilot for security that you see that you can integrate most easily, I guess, with your current or existing services? Because obviously you have customers that love your stuff. And so how are you, promoting or amplifying Copilot for security for these folks?
Yeah, it's all gonna be about the plugins, because based on what we can do for a customization perspective is being able to get the right level of automation from Copilot for security. And so without giving away, too much, that is the direction of where we see the biggest customized benefit is with the plugging aspect, as well as, of course, prompt engineering, teaching how to provide the most effective prompting scenarios where you have your goal, you have your context, you have your source. You want to make sure that is established, so that way what you put in, you get back quality results as well.
Yeah, that is going to be super important, right? In fact, I'm doing a thing internally on Thursday around prompting, trying to build out or create some kind of workshop that even our partners can utilize eventually. So that is important. So you also, I noticed this as well. Let me share this. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about this and tell our listeners, because I think this will be awesome. You have a webinar coming up about this.
Ooh.
So we're kind of generally talking about the things that you're thinking about and considering and working on for your customers. But is May 2nd the date where you blow this away, you announce everything that you're gonna do? Because this webinar is coming up. I signed up. I wanna see what's going on.
Yeah. I would still, without giving away too much again, it's going to be about showing the customers how our SOC is going to help respond and provide the right efficiencies within Copilot for security.
Okay.
So we may not see the fancy plugins yet, but we will go through some different demo scenarios of how to get the most out of Copilot for security.
Have you guys side note, have you guys seen the Jon Stewart special where he talks about AI? It came out recently.
I have not.
Must have missed that one. No.
There's a clip. He's back, by the way. He's amazing. And there's a clip on YouTube where he talks about like the AI revolution and whatnot. And he makes fun of the prompt engineer upcoming role, that everybody and business leaders and technology leaders are talking about. He's like, so a question asking person, is that really what a prompt engineer is? And I just, every time I hear prompt engineer now, I think of what he said, and like, he's kind of right. It's just like, we're teaching people how to ask the machines questions, proper questions.
But
so
we're
we're
trying to teach people how to actually use it. And this prompt, to be honest, this prompt engineer role, it's a 6-month. After 6 months, you won't hear it anymore. Everybody will be a prompt engineer at that point.
Right.
Hopefully.
I concur with that. I don't think it's a long-term role, but a skill set that everyone needs to adopt. I will agree with that, Rod. Maybe not worthy of a title, but worthy of a skill.
Right, for sure. It's even much different than just Google, providing a Bing or Google search. It's
right.
It's more than just looking for some static piece of data. It is language based, right? So if we have a skill to be able to influence the right answer, then that's going to be the skill set that's going to be expected in the future, especially when leveraging generative AI. And it's a top priority for all partners.
Yeah, I agree. And I like it personally. I like having that back and forth dialogue versus just static searching the internet, right? I don't know, but like back in the day, it was like, go Google it for an answer, right? And then you're like digging through forums, or you're finding that 2006 post or whatever it is. And now I don't think I actually even use classic search anymore. In my home and my business life, I just use Copilot, and now more and more within my business world internally, it's just using Copilot for assistance-based questions. And so everyone's just going to have to keep this as a skill moving forward, to have this good back and forth, a question answering person skill set. I'll stop there. Okay, we'll get back to legit questions. Edward, you got something, I think.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking, and Chris, I signed up for the thing on the second myself, so I'm gonna hear you in too. It sounds as though, and it's maybe the theme across all the partners, in the ones that we've had on board so far, and as well as James Key for kicking the month off. Shout out to you, James. Is that I see a huge consultative, opportunity here, whereas, you know, the customer has a solid, security practitioning team, and they could or could not be a customer of yours, where you come in and you help them use Copilot better. Is that also what you believe yourself, your company, as well as others are going to come in and show them? Because we've been, in my mind, has sort of been stuck to how does it make your managed offerings better, but I see that consulting is part of your offering. Is that going to be one of the mainstays? Because it seems like that's the easiest entry, to come in and show them how to use it better, rather than saying how we're going to improve our, our M3 B, what do you guys call it? B365.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
We just changed the first acronym. Instead of M, it's B.
okay. Hey, you got to own it, right? So
Right?
will your consultative practice have a heavy Copilot for security influence? And it sounds like you're going to be the leader of that. If you do, is that going to be the
Yeah, and so we have a scenario for both existing managed customers as well as net new.
Mhm.
And more so for the net new, it's going to be like a lot of advisory and consultative approach, where when you want to try something new, we're thinking of it as a proof of concept, to be able to enable the right security compute units, be able to take the customer through the more of an operational and process related journey. Because at that point, that's where, if there's the right amount of buy-in and the right amount of acknowledgement of here's how and who can use the features effectively,
Mhm.
then for customers, they always ask about cost. So if we can provide that kind of TCO, or total cost of ownership approach with them, then that's where our advisory for those net new customers are going to be more of an extended engagement, to trial it with them, get them on board, make sure they're thinking the right way, and have them uncover or overcome faster some of the failures, and that way they can have a level of success afterwards.
Mhm.
But then for our existing customers, it's more of an accelerated journey, because they're, I would say, mostly relying on the expertise of our incident responders, right, to be able to give them that guidance on, are we managing their configurations properly? Are we providing that level of response? And since we are, they're just looking for the why do we have to pay, and that's the model that we are building out with our customers to give them that right direction.
Yeah, I think you guys may have a better perspective on how to approach this. I do remember Bulletproof in the early days of Sentinel. I think he worked with a co-peer of mine named Ren. That you guys are really good at log rationalization and cost efficiency, and the same thing, right? Because back, remember Sentinel in those early days, it's the same thing as SEUs. Just think logging costs. It's synonymous, right? People are like, well, it just costs too much, and why am I bringing these logs in? And you guys are pretty good at that. But what I'm trying to put my head around while we had partner month is that, and it's not just you, no partner has helped me gain clarity on this, is that through the layman, they may not realize that the Copilot for security is run 100% in the customer's environment. And so if you have two approaches to it, one approach would be, what if a customer doesn't want to use it? We're assuming the customer has to want to adopt it, or you have to convince them that introducing this security mechanism or enhancement into an environment is the thing to do. Is that something seems to be the most pressing thing to overcome? Because learning how to do plugins and learn, or whatever we call them, resources or skills or automation, that's going to be easy. It's technology.
Yeah, and it's it's not set in stone, but it's a matter of I would say the size of the customer. If the level of response and configuration posture is like aligned and in a good state with that customer,
Mhm.
there may not be an immediate position to turn on Copilot for security, but because of the capabilities and possible oversights that some analysts may have, it may be beneficial for more of a partial or part-time assistant tool to be enabled. And that's where the model conversation needs to, it's still in place, where leveraging the usage dashboard in Copilot for security is going to be about understanding at what peaks and low periods would is our customers environment seeing most of their alerts, and then having our analysts determine with us, is this the right time to enable Copilot for security to provide that level of augmentation and provide better either system management or response, to provide better either reporting or remediation. But it's going to be a balance of what are the multiple categories for us to then decide with our different customers.
Just turn it on, Christopher. Just turn it on. That's the answer. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just turn it on. Yeah, just turn it on. But I like the transparency and the outright honesty of, hey, this is new to us, just like it's new to our customers. Yeah, we got early access to it, but access to the tech does not necessarily need to instant innovation, right? Or ingenuity, right, to be able to do it. Because you've given me like 4 or 5 things I want to run down with these guys after the call about, hey, I wonder if these partners are thinking about this approach. But you're right. You have to. This will take security partners, and if they are really about being a true partner, which doesn't mean monitoring and respond, it means consulting. And Brody can do this. Look at what Copilot gives you the ability to consult, because they may not want it in the environment, right? But there are going to be certain customers that are going to be a great fit for this. One of my customers, they bought 20 SCUs and buying more, consuming them to death, right? And they actually like what they see. But they're a huge global company, right? So they probably have a unique use case that the ingenuity may come from the customer, not from the partner, and it may not come from Microsoft. You may see a customer say, "Hey, man, guess what? We figured out how to do with this. This solves a problem," and the problem solved has nothing to do with it. Look at Rod with his one little unit.
You're showing off, but ultimately, even as kicking the tires, right? A lot of big global enterprise customers, they're going to have a lot of expertise, and they're gonna have a lot of different personas in their environment that want to see those benefits unlocked. But if they ever get to a point where they are not operationalizing or having some processes behind Copilot for security, management may turn around and say you're not actually using this to your best ability, and that's where there's still room for that advisory or consultative aspect from partners. And Bulletproof, we're ready to have those conversations with customers, and we're looking forward to having this on in as many environments as we can. So let's bring it on.
So one of our listeners wrote, said, "Can someone create some video content on how to activate Copilot for security?" I believe that is publicly available on the Microsoft-facing site. I think I saw it last week, where it's a complete rundown of what you should see manifest in your environment. And once you get started, I would definitely read every piece of the documentation as you step through to understand exactly what you're doing in it. But Rod, am I right? Yeah.
I'm doing it right now. Yep. Just go into the portal or go to securitycopilot.microsoft.com. I prefer the portal because it has more control, but go in and create a new instance. And as soon as this instance has been created, you choose how many SCUs you want, give it all the goodness, all the names that you want, assign it to a specific resource group. Once you do that, and when you go to Security Copilot, then it'll show up and I'll walk you through a little wizard.
Easy. Oh, and make sure you have your billing up to date.
Yes. Have your billing up to date.
Well, see, that's what I was just interesting you mentioned that. I was just looking at that. Because my cost analysis for my resource group for Copilot for Security, my only cost right now is the stupid Logic app that I created to send me an email alert at the end of the month telling me how much my costs are. So I'm not sure.
So I guess, Rod, I have a question. When you, in this particular instance, have you been deleting it, reprovisioning it, or has it been?
Oh no, I'm letting it run 24/7, which is what you're supposed to do, I might add. That's the recommended way to do that. If you want to scale down to 1, that's great, but you're going to miss a lot of obvious value if you just delete it. I think the history, your sessions is saved for, was it 30 days or 90 days? I forget. I'll have to go back. I knew last week before I went to KC for my little soccer trip, but I'll get back into that stuff here next week. But it's like 30 days or 90
I think it's,
days. I think it's 30 days. Yeah. So yeah,
but you should be seeing it. Usually it takes about like 2 days for that to show up. So
yeah, but if you delete that SCU, your sessions will still be there up to X amount of time. You can provision another one. However, shut it down means, okay, your analyst over in some other org or some other state or some other country says, hey, I want to use SCU. Only administrators can actually create this stuff, right? So they're going to say, hey, I was trying to use Copilot for Secure this morning and we've been attacked and I can't figure out what that silly CEO clicked on. So I need Copilot for Security. And now that administrator has to get out of bed and go spin up a SCU, and now the company can actually use it. So
another process, right? So
yeah,
we can help with that.
Follow the process. Absolutely follow the process.
Christopher, your in-house folks, security operations folks that work with customers to make sure that they're protected, resilient, and you can respond accordingly. Have they started thinking about what this means in terms of augmenting their roles? What are those? What are like hiring conversations look like around this for you in your neck of the woods out in Atlantic Canada? Are security individuals, SOC analysts, are they optimistic or excited about having something like this as another piece in the toolkit?
Yeah, well, 100%. And we actually have in-house we have a Las Vegas pod as well. So both Canada and US. So we are and following the sun all the way to Australia as well. So we have members different, covering 16-hour different time zones, I guess, or worldwide. So, but our team, they're excited. It is kind of that best buddy, that sidekick that they, instead of having to nudge a senior resource, they can just prompt their good old pal Copilot for Security. But when it comes to certain decision making, if they do realize that if Copilot is giving them hallucination, then they should still ask a human for more wisdom and experience. But for a lot of the mundane tasks of, I just need to get an FAQ answered, Copilot for Security is, a pretty awesome sidekick.
Cool. Well, I think a lot of people too, and chatting with customers recently, anybody can create their own, but what you're getting is part of what we talk about with Copilot for Security. I see personally, I think it's that integration with the threat intelligence that Microsoft collects. It is specifically tuned to security. You can go to ChatGPT and ask it security questions, but can you trust it? Can you trust that your data is not being used to build that model for the next person that shows up? So,
yeah, you can't trust it. That's the answer.
No, you can't.
Oh no, you can't trust it. That's the answer. Yeah, I wouldn't stake on it. So, and with that, with Bulletproof and how you guys go, it must have been some interest in about what you heard about Copilot to get you, to submit application for early access to it. What was that thing? What was in the pitch? Or did Microsoft come to you? Because you guys did one partner of the year in 2021, and you're part of MSI, so you got all the cred. So were you reached out to, or did you reach out to them?
Oh, I'm going back too many months now.
Don't worry about it. I just wonder.
I would say we were invited.
Invited. Okay.
And it's one of those things, where we often get asked to be in a part of a lot of the private preview programs, from security to modern work. And I would say, because we have a very agile mindset within Bulletproof, and it's kind of the culture of the personas we look to hire is about, when we're upskilling within our specialties, being a life learner is one of those like very important attributes. So all the new features and capabilities, especially around IT services that we all love to play with, and it's like a brand new, fun, shiny tool. Our team gets super excited to be able to uncover and work with developers that are bringing out these new features. So we've been in a lot of private previews over the past 10 plus years. But then just in other program benefits, like we're a fast track ready partner, we're in like Microsoft Commerce incentives for running workshops. I don't know, a whole bunch of the program benefits we are qualified to be in. And I think even right now we're in the Jumpstart program to be able to run Copilot for security workshops as well. So now it's just a matter of getting our name maybe out to more of the United States customers, because our name is pretty well known across Canada from west to east coast, and we've been doing a lot more evangelizing in the US and overseas, in Europe, to be able to expand our brand and our name, because we believe that our expertise can be leveraged worldwide.
Yeah. Well, I love the name. I love the company name. That's super. But I think that's also, Edward brings up a good point. Microsoft, you're a trusted partner. You should put that on your website. We are a Microsoft trusted partner, because if they're coming to you and asking you to join these things, it says something.
Yeah, they've got it on there. They're quoting Rob
Lefferts.
Rob Lefferts. That's it. Yeah, they got him down there with the quote. It's an older picture of Rob. Probably should update that. Just a little feedback.
Rob ages front to back, man. He goes both ways. You see it. You see it sometimes.
Rob, if you're listening, come on the show.
Come on the show. Give Ed some mess. Yeah, your name is pretty well known up there of the IT companies and security companies. When I think of you, you're definitely in the top 4 that come up in my mind, both large and big. I know that ProServe IT is sort of big up there too. Obviously CDW is doing their thing with their Canadian stuff. So, but and a few others. So give me, as we come up on the hour, give me what if you had a checkbook with unlimited SCUs, what would you go out and try to build? I mean, you many SCUs as you want.
Well, you can't have any more than 100. So
yeah, well, even in AI needs an assistant. So if we can build an assistant for the assistant to keep it in line, right? Then that's maybe not too far away. It's maybe less than 5 years away. Like realistically, with all the compute power that we need from all the chipset makers, it's being able to when we think of the word automation, like even just from a security perspective, if we're trying to automate more repetitive tasks to keep our customers safe, keep our environment safe as defenders, right? We still need to leverage AI or Copilot to be able to understand the types of attacks that we can put automation in place without harming ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of where the assistant for the assistant comes into place. And
maybe an assistant that also almost like a safety patrol, where they're protecting against or protecting for responsible AI, right? So what we heard from Google, several weeks ago, right? They have an AI that just won't produce what it's supposed to, but because it's not really developed from a responsible perspective. So maybe an assistant for an assistant, or go back to the TV show The Office, the assistant to the assistant manager.
Assistant to the assistant manager. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Another thing that I look at companies to see, proof is in the pudding, is I go to your career site and I look at the growth is there for you guys. You're not sitting stagnant. You're looking for talent. right? And I definitely love using that as a measurement stick of how well a company's doing. And I see you guys are believe in the future and you got needs in the present. So that's very good for Bulletproof, man. I like that. Um, one thing I have noticed, I did like a little cursory glance and went to the websites of all the partners that are going to be on the show. Very few have Copilot as a listed offering right now. I think they're not jumping in with both feet yet because they don't quite know what that offering is going to be. And if they are there, they're calling it an assessment. See if you're ready for Copilot. I'm waiting to see which partners are going to be brave enough to say, hey, here's our Copilot for security widget that you can have. Because I know one of the places it won't publish is in the marketplace, the app store, or whatever we call it for partners. That'll just be something you look for. So it still seems to me that a lot of partners are looking to wait and see, and they're looking both ways and up and down to see who goes first, right?
Well, the
And
other thing, and I think we've talked about this with other partners, but I've talked about with customers as well. Christopher, I'm interested if you see this, because I think some of the hesitancy with AI, even Copilot for Security as an AI, is kind of that data estate. Do you see that across Canada and across your customers, that this is kind of they're waking them up to, like, hey, remember that project we were going to do all that inventory and figure out what we're doing and security for our data, and now we're to the point, we're at that pressure point where they absolutely need to do that, right?
Yeah, it's well, I guess we kind of crossing borders here with Copilot for Microsoft 365 a little bit.
Yeah, but
and we have an offering to work with customers, and that's where more of the identity and information management life cycle is going to come into play. Where if you don't know where your data is, and you don't know how you're protecting your data, and you don't know how you're governing your data, and a process to find insider risk, then we specialize in that purview aspect, from information management to records management, e-discovery perspective as well. And we're, from even our managed security offering, we are embedding DLP into our managed security service to ensure that from your data is supposed to be protected wherever it goes. So it's just a matter of how can we ensure that kind of that zero trust architecture is put into place as well. Wherever you go as your identity, wherever your data goes, if it's being shared, external, someone's personal email, that document is still safe if it's meant to be safe. So the conversations are being are occurring, and we're excited about just making sure data security is one of those first thoughts and not a last thought, because
everything
because something could always happen at any time, right? So
yeah.
Well,
This is
and
what I'm
consider
talking about.
what
This guy knows exactly what's going on. These guys, Christopher, they made fun of me so much when I first joined the show. Like, oh, this is Brody the compliance guy. This is Brody the data. And now look at us, right? Putting data security first. Thank you.
yeah.
You
well,
nailed it.
I'll put one more plug in is on
Sure.
our website. We do have something called B365C, which is for compliance. So we do have a managed compliance service that looks at all those controls and life cycle, and it can be standalone or embedded into our let's say managed bundles. But it is a very important part of our conversation life cycle as well.
Yeah.
Well, bring this back full circle. You mentioned that was more on the M365 Copilot side. Well, it actually kind of is Copilot for Security as well, because when you use like the Azure AI plugin, or you use the knowledge base feature that's built into Copilot for Security, they can use data from anywhere. Who knows what they're going to ingest, or not ingest? That's a bad word. Who knows what
if they turn on the plugin, then yeah.
Or create their own custom plugin and use an API or KQL. Who knows? Who knows what might show up in Copilot for Security?
Yeah. Well, one of the big things with Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is starting to consider all those things. They're starting to look at how you're using these AI-driven SaaS applications, including the ones that are native to the collaboration thing, which is M365. Because there's huge amounts of opportunity for data leakage inadvertently come out, right? So, been a fan of Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, aka MCAS, and it seems like it's making a resurgence, because you need to see what's going on right now. with these data and these apps, and now it can look for API type activity that may be emerging from a user that use their, God forbid, they use their identity as the service parameter in an application, right? their username and ID that they log in to work with is calling APIs to do something disastrous.
You
Think
need
about
that session control. So
yeah, think about the implications of that, right? And someone hijacks the session. Now you got an AITM issue going on because someone uses their real credentials against it. Crazy stuff. Well, man, this
You
has been
notice how we bypassed the whole Brody conversation about telling that he was
Yeah.
right.
don't worry, Brody, I got your back.
Minimalize
Don't worry.
and-
Compliance is still number one. It's still priority.
Brody's always right, man. He's always right. That's
get
the
that
first
writing.
rule of Brody. Brody's
That's
always
that's
right.
our apology right there, Brody.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
We're a bunch of savages on here. No mercy given, none asked. That's it. We're security savages. But Christopher, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Good looking for Bulletproof. You guys continue to do the solid work. I've heard your name come up with good stuff being said about it from my Canadian counterparts that cover up there at least. And anytime you guys make a breakthrough or something, if you find a bug, you do something, you come up with something. Don't wait the next April. Come on the show.
For sure.
Tell us all about it. I want to hear it. Be first.
I guess.
Rob
Is anyone from the crew going to RSA this year?
I actually turned it down today. My manager asked me to go, and I said, "Man, I really got to be at the house during that time, so I will not be there, unfortunately."
No, Microsoft will be there, and I'm sure you'll probably see some of our people. But yeah, I'm actually doing something else that week.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, unfortunately.
It's just a quick shout out because we're also nominated for a Security Trailblazer Award. And
that's right.
Security Changemaker. So we have two nominations. One from an individual and one from a company perspective. So
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Congrats on that. Now, where are you located again, Chris? Are you in Toronto?
yeah, I'm in the Toronto area. Yeah.
Okay. I might try to get up that way soon. My wife's never
No,
been.
there's nothing there you want to go see.
Will you stop it? I
You
live
see
there.
this
Work
behind
there.
me, you come west.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? Someone asked me to run out to Vancouver, so maybe while I'm out that way, I'll come look you up.
You could. Yes, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Edward, I'd love to have you. Come on.
Nah,
down.
you're gonna have a Halloween screaming baby there. Nah.
Yeah, soon. Yeah, so pick your times. Yeah, maybe fall, Edward. Fall would be better.
Be fall. Yeah. Baby's
Yeah.
walking. You could.
Yeah.
And NHL playoffs are coming up, so hopefully the Leafs have a good run this year.
Yeah, whatever. Go
We'll see what
Jets,
they
go,
make- we'll see
baby.
what they
Go
release, dude.
Jets, go. Yeah.
Well, Christopher, thank you for coming on and talking to us about what Bulletproof does, what you guys offer, and how you are, slow and steady figuring out, whether it be Copilot. It stands to reason Microsoft won't be the only person, right? So you're gonna have to consider and not be so vendor gnostic that you won't consider other products, but you'll get a base knowledge, right? And you guys you're gonna keep doing good stuff. I like the way you guys have grown, very strategically. Some people blow up and all of a sudden they shrink, but you guys have sort of been doing this, right? If you look at it and getting it right. As always, like I said before, anytime you want to come on, talk about the company, what you guys do, new service offer, seeing a breakthrough, talk about an award, just hit, Brody up. You can come on the show. If you want to come on and co-host one day so somebody can get some time off, you can do that too.
Sounds good.
We pay in swag. So you get some swag. There you go.
Well, like I said in my name tags, the bulletproof vest is not required or not included. So
Yeah, not
We pay in
required.
SCUs. Yeah.
Paying SUs. That's the thing, right? SU hijacking. That would be a cool attack. Let me work on that.
Yeah, work on that.
Wow. Imagine running that bill out. That customer would be, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks everyone. Thanks again, Christopher, for coming on and representing Bulletproof. Thanks everyone. We continue the theme of Partner Month. We do have a show on the 17th. And we will have another partner come on. That's the same question, see what their approach is, what they believe the new innovations are, and how they tend to ride the wave. Next week will be Critical Start. For as long as we've been on the show
On Wednesday.
I'm surprised they haven't been on. My mind is telling me that they've blown us off, so that may not be well for them when they come on the show.
Oh, look at that. It's Wednesday.
Blowing blowing that word off. Not a good thing. Then we have
Great.
Foresight IT and a few others. So, oh man, I'm excited about it. I hear the partners, and let me tell you something. All the
What?
partners have said one thing, and I can appreciate it. We don't know what we don't know, and I love that transparency. We don't know what we don't know yet, right? Because sometimes the innovation will come from the customer. The customer will tell you what they want you to do, and you'll go, I didn't think about that. Let me, sure shit. That's some new IP there. Thank you, Mr. Customer. Right that way. So everyone have a good one. Same time. Actually not. It's Wednesday. Same time
It's
on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yep. We'll
Thank
be
you,
here.
Frank. Thank you for coming on, Frank. Don't be a stranger.
Hi, Frank. Come back.
Come back,
All right.
Franklin.
Thanks, Christopher.
Thanks, Christopher.
Nice talking with you.